Okay, today we're taking a look at the Bergen extra long hex keys. I think they're 110mm in length in a 3/8" drive. Okay, we've got the Bergen hex switch sockets in 110mm, 7 pieces, 3/8" drive socket made from chrome vanadium. You can see the item number there is 1123 1123. We've got a 3mm, a 4mm, a 5mm, a 6mm, 7mm, 8mm and a 10mm. Now this cardboard sheath will just slide off. Sometimes it does get, some of their sleeves do get stuck to the box with some glue, but this one's okay, it just comes straight off. It does come in a nice tough box, plastic tough box, which is nice if you're not planning on keeping the sockets in a toolbox. You're keeping them in the box. You can keep them in the box there, and they'll be just fine. Or if you're going to lend, they're there for if you need to lend them or to somebody. We don't like to do that, but you can just stick them in the box and give it to them, nice and tough. Obviously they're also good for if you're running out of room in your toolbox and you just want to keep them to the side, you can keep them in the box. Now you can see that they are extra long when you're looking at them as soon as you open it up. The box has just got them formed in there like that. Now if we take a look at the sockets themselves, we can see our favoured font again, that same font that we see a lot on obviously the Bergen stuff like we've got here, but also on a few of our other brands that we look at, which again we can see as well. We've got a chamfered back, but we can also see we've got also our telltale radius corners again that we see from what appears to be from that same factory that uses the font. There is indents in the female end. If we take a look at the actual bit itself, it is chrome vanadium and not just the socket part, as it does say CRV on the main shaft or main body of the bit itself. And they have taken an approach to go from a bigger size down to a smaller size on the actual bit. Some bits do go step up to a bigger size at the tip. Again, take a look at another one, the same kind of thing. This is the 4mm, is it? CRV4. Take a look at the tip. They're all the same. The sockets that we can see on the ends. One thing I do notice is there's no kind of bit punched in there to hold them in place. They must be forced in place somehow. A lot of these bit sockets do have a little hole where something's been forced through, where my finger is there tapping the socket, but there's none of that there, so it's obviously forced in place. I will say I don't know the diameter of the main shafts on these, but obviously if it is a set, you'd have to measure it. If it is a set size itself, the shaft, obviously it's bigger than the tip, which is the size indicated, but it might be possible if you ever do break any of these to grind it back to the actual shaft and use that as another sized bit. It's not particularly something we want to talk about, but you know, it is possible to do that. I've decided to obviously narrate over this video because the sound issue that I was having with the camera coming through the one stereo track. I'm just telling you here that the cap screws and grub screws being usually the most likely type of fixing that you'll use with hex keys anyway. And that one was obviously a button head type screw, so you have those as well. But I think everybody knows what a cap screw looks like. Now this is onto the bigger ones. This is the 8mm, and this is all one size from top to bottom. So if you ever do break any of the tip of this, it will be possible to grind it back from the top there and carry on using it. Obviously it will be shorter in length if you have to do that, but you know, if you ever do break the very tip of this particular one, you know, it's not worth throwing it away. You can just grind it back. Whereas with these little ones, obviously, you know, the little tip is the actual size, so you can only go back so far, and you're left with this shaft here, whichever size that is, which obviously isn't the original size. But that, you know, that's just going off on a tangent again, but it is possible always to do that, as it is with Allen keys in general. This one is ever so slightly smaller step down at the front, at the tip, down to size from the shaft. You see the size difference there between the two. The 8 obviously isn't the bigger one. There's an even bigger one yet. There's the 10mm to take a look at. Again, just a comparison between the two sizes. You know, we pick up the biggest one now, which is the 10. Again, just like the 8, it's all in one size, whereas this one steps down and the other step down. The two bigger sizes, they've gone for a bit that remains the same from bottom to top. So again, the same with the 8. For the 10, you'd be able to grind that back if you did ever chip or break any of the very tip of the bit itself. Again, I'm not too sure what I'm rumbling on about here on the actual video. Probably nothing that we haven't that's needed to be discussed, to be honest. So you can put that number 10 back. Oh no, we won't. We'll take a look at a few of those. Again, just giving another close-up look at the bits themselves before you go and buy them. And obviously, like all the tools, it will be the DIY tips videos and the motorcycle maintenance videos down the line where we get to test them actually in action. So, and I should actually start tagging in the tags the tools as well in those videos. Well, that's obviously where we get to see them in action. Obviously I'm not going to sit here today and dismantle something with a load of cap screws in it just to test these Bergen sockets right here and right now. But I will say that they do feel nice and sturdy, like most others. Most other bit tools, S2, CR, chrome vanadium, and you know, the molly kind of tools, they do seem quite nice and tough and sturdy. We have been happy with the factory that seems to put these tools out anyway. The telltale manufacturing markings that we find on the tool in itself. So that's the Bergen 110mm length hex keys. I hope that gives you a little bit of a view. Like I say, thanks to the phone playing up, I did have to run a commentary over the top, but hope you get the gist of those.